Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is for those people who have their natal Pluto in the ninth house. The ninth house is the house that Sagittarius rules, and its ruler Jupiter is connected to. So the ninth house is the house of the higher mind. It's the house of foreign travel. Anything that expands you, whether it is mentally, this is a mental house, and therefore higher education. It is the house of religion, so this is broadening your philosophical beliefs or even having any to begin with, and your geographical location, broadening that as well. And so Pluto is this planet that is seeking power through certain things, through various avenues. And in the ninth house, it's also the planet of transformation. So you are transformed primarily on the mental level because this is a mental house. So there can be this real drive for education at a higher level because you do believe that knowledge is power. And I did write, or not write, type out some of these talking points, if you will, based on two astrology sites I visit. I want to give a shout out to. One is advancedastrology.com. The other one is called astrologyk.com, I believe. And so they said, knowledge is power. And I said, that's brilliant because that's already a phrase or a saying. And so true when you have Pluto here. Now, it's important to really try to get a handle on how this can manifest in an everyday sense. So the ninth house can be your ideas or your ideas, but I really think that a person's philosophy, what they believe life is all about, is connected to the ninth house. So when Pluto is here, there can be a fanaticism. You can be the kind of person who believes that who's really emotionally attached to your ideas. And so, you may feel like you may create conflict by trying to impose your ideas on other people, get them to adopt them as their own, or to follow what you're into. And this can also be the religious fanatic. So the proselytizer can be, Pluto in the ninth. And I'm even thinking about during the Crusades, people who really believed in whatever it is that they were pushing and trying to get other people to believe what they believe. Now, one thing I didn't see anything about, which I'm kind of surprised now that I think about it, is the idea of cults. I could think of like a cult leader being connected to this. Like, for instance, Jim Jones, I think, was a Scorpio. But sometimes, there may be other things going on even with religious cults that are tied to nefarious forces, but that could be Pluto as well, kind of like covert ops or something like that. So that is something that another thing that I thought of that wasn't included is this idea of kind of unmasking the bogus guru or the bogus televangelist, and kind of because they mentioned something on one of these sites about feeling emotionally let down by a philosophy. So I could say the same thing about somebody who really invests their faith and emotion into some kind of religious leader who lets them down, or religious belief, and they feel that it no longer is viable or something like that. But you can have radical shifts in your life philosophy during your lifetime. You may kind of go a completely different route, and I would say if that is the case, I believe that it probably would begin with an organized religion that you belong to, and then you go into something more of the occult. And it's funny because the occult is connected to the eighth house, which Pluto rules under the sign of Scorpio. And, the fact that the word occult means hidden is that, there were some teachings and practices that were not given to the mainstream, probably for the same reason everything else is not done so, for control, to keep people ignorant. But astrology and the tarot are lumped into the eighth house. So in the ninth house, I could see you taking those types of whatever you want to call them, divining tools, or whatever you want to call it, and almost creating this religion out of it, because some people really look to it to guide their life on every level, and it becomes a part of the way that they live their life. One of the things that they mentioned is that you are a very intelligent person, and probably this is because of the strength of Pluto, but also because people who have a Pluto placement in the, in one of the mental houses, could be the third house as well, are digging beneath the surface. They're not satisfied with what is said, just in passing. And what I think about that is, and they say that you would make a great researcher. Universities tend to have these people who are doing research. But beyond that, when somebody is looking beneath the surface, they want more. They're not just going to accept anything. And a probing nature is naturally intelligent because it is seeking more understanding. Some people want others to just give them all of the information so they can memorize it. That's not true intelligence. That is doing things by rote. And I feel like true intelligence is a very dynamic process where you're actively engaged in it. And there is an obsessive quality about Pluto. So you may get very hooked on this subject matter and you want to just explore it to the nth degree, and that's where the research can come in. In terms of professions, they talked about a researcher, they talked about a public speaker, so a lecturer, because this is the ninth house, so you're talking about academia and that kind of thing. I think, and they even mentioned, and I kind of combined the terms, but one of the sites said charismatic, but they said thought leader. So I don't know exactly what they meant by thought leader, but I assume they mean somebody who whose opinions are valued by others, and they could be like a modern day philosopher, for instance, or, and that could include some kind of spiritual beliefs. I think that given other circumstances in your chart, if the chart supports it, that you might be a great life coach, because Pluto is all about transformation, and the ninth house is the house of Sagittarius and is all about positivity, expansiveness. So when you combine the two, that idea of transforming oneself, and especially the belief system, that is such a core value and of great importance, because many people are, kind of living life on automatic, and they don't even really have a belief system. Well, I mean, everybody has a belief system, whether they know it or not, but they're not actively connected to it. They're just kind of going through the motions and of life, and doing things on the surface of life instead of digging deeper. And a person like you can explain to them why it's so important, but you can also be very engaging as a lecturer, so that it impresses upon people the importance of things in a very, powerful way, the way that you convey your ideas. I put this down myself, since I don't want to just regurgitate other people, but I think that you might even find the university unsatisfying, because, precisely because of what I just said. If you are, because one of the things that I had put down that was on one of the websites was about this idea of knowledge being power, and, maybe getting a higher education and really being gung-ho about that. But what you find when you do that is that, especially nowadays, and I experienced this myself going back to the university, getting a bachelor's degree when I was middle-aged, and then going into graduate school and saying, hey, I did that, now I'm going to go to graduate school, and hoping that there would be more freedom of thought, where the professors would encourage us to think for ourselves. But unfortunately, I think it's been hijacked, and we were given a bunch of research papers. And, I realize that isn't beyond the pale necessarily, but I was disappointed because I wanted to come up with things on my own. And I think that people with their natal Pluto in the ninth house would understand that, because you have this intellectual power and you want to exercise it. And if you feel that you're being asked to regurgitate other people's information and not have ideas of your own because you don't have those qualifications. Look, this person has a PhD, you should just believe everything that they say. These kinds of, trends in higher education can be very disappointing to a person like you, I think. Now, you tell it like it is. You might be quite blunt, you don't have that artifice. And part of that is going to be because there's a ruthlessness to Pluto, and also the ninth house is about truth. And by the way, you're obsessive about getting truth, and sometimes that can have a clash when you're dealing with academia and things like that, where there are differing opinions on everything, and you may not feel that the other people are really engaging issues at the level that you are, and that may lead to conflicts. But also in terms of stating your opinions on things, you may do so in a way that rubs people the wrong way, and they may misunderstand your intentions. They may not understand that you are simply wanting to be a truth teller and letting the chips fall where they may. And sometimes I think that when people, clutch pearls at, oh my gosh, this person is saying this, and they're acting like ideas are dangerous, it's because they don't want to really engage in those ideas. They want to be in their little cocoon that is very safe where they can just stick their head in the sand. I know I mixed a bunch of metaphors there, right? So that's to me a form of manipulation that you naturally see through, and you're not going to give in to that manipulation. You're just going to keep on keeping on. And the other thing that they were talking about is traveling. That where was that? That you really are empowered through traveling and exploring other cultures. I put down other cultures because that's part of that. And it may lead you to spend a lot of time abroad as a result, because you may find that you are, you feel stronger somewhere else. And there might be multiple reasons for that, but it's this, Pluto to me, I mean, there's a karmic angle to Pluto, but there's also this sense of, I think there's a deep, the emotional connection that you bring to things that really grab you, may lead you to, stay there. So if you really, if you travel someplace and you really resonate with it, then you may decide to live there for an extended period of time. And so travel may even transform you. Okay, well, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.